Good evening, it's Monday night, so it's the ILFL Soccer Night here on NTV with me, David Joseph. Good evening, how are you? I've got my good friends in the studio as always to go through yesterday's fixtures and last week's Veterans League as well, which is coming to a bit of a climax in the cup competition. Rashid Ali to my left and I've got Nanu Mia to my right, and our guest in the studio today is Tanjim Chowdhury. Good evening, Tanjim.
Good evening, David.
Tanjim's here to talk about the first game that we're going to see highlights of, which is the cup game between Beaumont and Bromley. Now, as we've seen in our National League, the cup is a distraction, be it welcome or otherwise for most teams, but here at grassroots level, it's an opportunity for teams to shine against higher competition and those lesser than themselves, and maybe to kickstart the season that's been faltering, and that is the case for these two teams here. Bromley and Beaumont have had indifferent seasons and both could do with a very welcome cup run. Who took the spoils in yesterday's fixture? Here's the highlights to find out what went on. Beaumont versus Bromley. do you know what? For once, I watched the highlights and it was thoroughly entertaining. A great game, Beaumont having to come from 2-1 down to win it in the final 10 minutes by 3-2. Tanjim, you've got to be a happy man. You're still smiling, but it's still there from yesterday, isn't it? Come on, tell me all about it.
It was a great game. I mean, it was a tight affair as usual. Beaumont
probably played their part.
They did play their part. I mean, especially first half, they had a lot of possession. They were threatening, but I thought our defence handled it really well. I think as a team, we pressed very well. We put them under pressure. There wasn't really a lot of chances in the first half, but considering our last couple of games, we played them before the Christmas break and we got absolutely battered. So it was a big game for us. I think a lot of players had to prove themselves. I mean, we had quite a few changes, brought a few players in, and I think they did the job. They did really
so
well.
How is this now? You've heard me here week after week, battering poor Rash here about how can't get a win, it's not looking good, what it's doing to the morale of the team. I mean, forget the fact that it's a cup, it's a win. And what is that win going to do for you as a team, as a club?
Well, it builds momentum. I mean, we go into next week with, with a win under our belt. I think it's our first win in about a few months, I think. So even though we were unbeaten for quite a large period of the season, we still didn't get a win. So, and a lot of those games we were in winning positions and didn't manage to secure the 3 points. So I think it's a massive morale booster. I think it will build momentum for next week.
So you're looking forward. So are you looking at the league now, or are you looking at the semi-finals? You're one game away from a final. Which is it now?
For me, it's the league. I think we need to get the points we need just to be safe. I think we've got quite a few games in hand. We've got 2 big games against Sire, who are bottom of the league. So if we can get 6 points out of those ones, I think will give us that safety, and then we can focus on the semi-final.
Okay. Tanjim, that's you talking about Beaumont. Rash, I'm not going to give you an opportunity to say anything about Beaumont. I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about one of the other quarterfinals that you managed to watch, which was... Pick one.
Tigers versus Ireland.
Tell me about Tigers and Ireland.
First half, I'm surprised. Ireland turned up. A, didn't have a keeper. B, didn't have a big squad. And you're playing the Tigers, one of the biggest teams, and you weren't 100% prepared. That showed in the first half. Tigers dominated as normal. They had a few new faces and dominated possession-wise, scored 3 goals. Second half, Ireland came into life. And they actually scored a goal, 3-1. And they had Lee Brown, the striker, had 4 or 5 chances on one-on-one. And surprisingly, he didn't take any. So there's obviously, for teams playing Tigers, there's always a chance. Defensively, they're not the strongest. But what they do in the first half, initially, I think you have to be prepared. But overall, I think Tigers dominated the game, but Ireland did have a chance. So it goes to show that if you do come prepared with a strong side, you can actually beat Tigers.
You can get close to them. The First Division had an opportunity to get themselves into the semi-final of the Cup, and how did they do? Let's take a look at the results on the screen right now. Brook Lane were too strong for Leytonstone and beat them by 4-2, but it sounds like it could have been an entertaining game. And so was this one. St Catherine's came very close, but fell short to a very impressive Newark, going down 3-2. So it's 4 Premier Division teams into the semi-finals. We now have Brook Lane, Beaumont, Tigers and Newark. And Tanjim, I've got to ask, who do you want in the semis?
I mean, we'll take anyone at this stage.
Really? Is that a professional answer?
It is a professional answer, yeah.
So let's have the truth. Who do you want? You've played all of those teams.
We have, yeah.
So where did you think you stood most chance?
Well, we haven't beaten any of those teams this season. So
where did you feel you could have won it?
We had 2 3-0 draws against Brook Lane in the league.
You beat Newark first game.
We did beat Newark, and then
they came back,
and then we had that second game we were 3-0 up, and they came back 3-0. So we'll take Brook Lane or Newark.
Brook Lane or Newark.
We would like to avoid Tigers, but if we do get Tigers, I think
you just have to go and do it. And like you said, it's momentum that builds, and you never know. You could be the team to upset the mighty Tigers out there. Nanu, I have to bring you in. Sure. We're talking about the 4 teams that have just won their quarter-final games. Where do you see it going from here now?
It's got to be Tigers, definitely. Still, yeah. I mean, you've got some not very strong teams, I would say. If Bromley or Stepney was in the equation, then we would have seen some kind of challenges to Tigers. But there's Brook Lane there, there's Beaumont, which are really strong teams, but Tigers are a slightly different class. So
I think also, Dave, what I'd like to mention is, I think, yes, Tigers will be favourites, but the motivation, knowing that this season, to qualify for the Interleague Champions for next season, you've got to win the Cup. and the other teams are not, winning the league, this is the way to get in champ. So I think that will be a motivation for Brick Lane, for Beaumont, and for Newark, knowing that if they can secure a win in the cup, that will give them space in the next year's Interleague Champions Cup. I think that will be great motivation. I think that will drive them to play against Tigers as well.
Who knows? Motivation and incentive for all you teams that have done well in the quarterfinals of the Cup. We're going to take a break here right now, and we're going to look at some of the other action that took place yesterday. So stick around and we'll be back after this short break.
You are watching ILFL Soccer Nights.
Sponsored by Hawk and Eagle.